wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together.
Welcome to Making It Last. I'm your host, Noreen Daly, and this time around, the topic for our conversation is how can we maintain confidentiality in relationships? And I have with me Sharmica Holness, founder of iSpeak, where she provides coaching sessions, specifically in the area of public speaking, team building, and then she's also a voiceover talent. Welcome, Sharmica.
Thank you, Noreen.
How can we maintain confidentiality in relationships? And just before we continue, you might be wondering why Sharmica? Sharmica is one of my friends who, I will tell you listeners, is well read. I'm not sure if it's one book a month or one book a week, but she reads a lot. No. Hence, she knows a lot about a lot of things. Hence, that is why I am tapping into that knowledge. I'm just putting that out there. So I'm tapping into this knowledge right now. So, Sharmica, how can we maintain?
Okay, listeners, before we go any further, let me make it clear that Noreen is exaggerating. I don't read a book once per week. I read a lot, but she's exaggerating.
Once a month?
Once a month,
okay.
Maybe, or probably two books.
I wasn't.
All right, she wasn't exaggerating.
All right, so yeah.
All right, so the topic confidentiality in relationships. No, that is a broad term or broad statement topic. So what I'm going to do is just break it down and look at it from three different perspectives.
All right.
Maintaining confidentiality in the workplace, in friendships, and in friendships, family life, and also in our intimate relationships.
Okay.
Now, maintaining confidentiality in the workplace is of paramount importance, and I find that it's really lacking in most workplaces. I've had instances where things were shared in a private circle and somehow it got out. Things that were supposed to remain private.
Okay.
Confidentiality too in friendships and your family life needs also to be maintained, but I find that too is lacking somewhere along the line, because you'll have friends know and you share, and that is why I am very skeptical of who I share certain things with. I'm a very private person. People might not see that because they believe that I'm active in my community, active on social media, but I share what I want people to know.
Okay.
Aspects of my private personal life are not for the public domain. And you find that you'll have instances where you're friends with somebody and you're quick to tell them something, and the moment the relationship goes sour, your business is out there in the public. Confidentiality from an intimate relationship perspective. You don't need to tell your partner everything. I know the listeners might not agree with me, but just the other day I was reading in The Observer. It's interesting that this topic came up for discussion in your series, because I was reading in The Observer the other day where they had a poll asking persons how much is how much, something to that effect.
Okay.
Now, how much you need to tell your partner about your past, your sexual history, and stuff like that. And many persons were of the belief that, yes, the moment you enter into a relationship, you ought to tell your partner what happened then. Some persons were not of that belief. Personally, I'm not of that belief either.
Okay.
Because I believe that in and of itself, your partner will use to judge you. The past is the past. We move on and we want to maintain that healthy relationship. Let us leave the past in the past. So looking at confidentiality from three perspectives, the workplace, friendships and family life, and also your intimate relationships. It's really a good topic to talk about.
Okay. I am going to somehow, piggyback on what you said just now, because I am of the mindset that if it is that, especially if it is heading toward marriage, or if you're about to get married to this individual, I believe it is best that they know. And yes, it is easy for me to say I'm still single, but I'm of the mindset that you should be comfortable enough and open enough with this person that you're about to spend the rest of your life. So there really should be no secrets.
And Noreen, I'm glad you mentioned marriage, because that in and of itself, is different.
Okay.
What I touched on initially was just a relationship outside of moving on to marriage.
Okay, good.
So in meeting the person, I wouldn't be quick to divulge all of that information, because you don't know where it's heading.
Okay.
If I see where this relationship has potential, and yes, we have hopes of getting married and we're almost there, then that is the time. So I'm going to go little by little, piece by piece, what I tell you, because of course I'm going to trust my partner.
Okay.
But if you're just getting into a relationship, a young relationship, let's say probably 6 months into a year, you don't need to tell them everything, because that leaves the door open for you to be judged. But if you're moving towards marriage, let's say you're dating probably 2-3 years, you get to, and even after getting married, then you can even tell them other things.
All right, fair enough. No, I noticed one of the initial scenarios that you mentioned is the whole idea of sometimes in the workplace, people are not as quote unquote private, or then confidentiality is not maintained. So this is my question to you. What about when in a work relationship? Because the reality is that a lot of us spend the bulk of our time at work. So a lot of times some of those work relationships evolve into other types of relationships. And I can talk specifically from my experience. Some of my friends, I actually work with my friends. How then do you then draw that line or make that distinction between what is to be discussed at work and what then is to be, so you, in terms of what you share in each space, whether work or home?
No, Noreen, that's interested. I know you put me in a spot as if am I the ideal person to really talk about this, because I am of the belief that, listen, my co-workers are not my friends.
Okay.
I come to work, make my money and go home.
Okay.
My personal life outside of work is my personal life. But then, as you mentioned, you spend the bulk
of your
time with them. But it's for you, the individual, to know what to share, who to share who to share it with. Because remember, working with a set of people for over an extended period, you now understand their personality traits.
Okay.
Well, many persons might not, but I can read
to some
into
extent.
people. And as old people would say, if your spirit not take them. So I read into things and I will know who to share certain things with, because I can draw on personal experience where I had a situation that I was faced with. I didn't share it with anyone, but it was surmised somehow in the workspace, and persons were just making up rumors. So I'm saying to myself, imagine if I was faced with a situation where I confided in X person. Imagine that person who I thought that, listen, I have confidence in you to share this and it won't get out. That same person would have started a rumor, which of course was a lie. You can imagine if I'd shared something personal with you, just how much it would have gone out. So I use that experience now to determine just where to draw the line.
Okay.
So I go to work, I'll share certain things, but I know what to say, when to say it, who to say it to, and all of that. So I make that distinction in my mind that, listen, my coworkers are really not my friends. So maintaining confidentiality in the workplace for me comes easy because unlike other people who just walk around and, in Jamaican terms, chat people business, I am really not that type.
Okay. We're gonna, transcend somewhat into another type of relationship that you alluded to earlier in terms of your friends and family. So I have a family member, let's say a cousin. Is it then okay for me to then just share, whatever is happening with me? Or should it really matter? Because of course this is family.
The topic confidentiality in relationships has to do with understanding personality traits. So you as the individual, my family characteristics might be different from your family. So whereas I can share my cousins, we have a WhatsApp cousins group, and then we have a general. So first we have a general family group,
Okay.
and then we have the cousins group where we want to talk about things that you don't want the aunties and the uncles to know about. So it's good for you to understand the traits of your family, and then that will be a deciding factor as to whether or not you share certain things. So I'll share with my cousins things that are happening. I prefer to share with my family than friends. As you know, my circle is very tight. You would know this because you're my friend. My circle is very tight. So I have more associates than I have close friends. So I tend to share more with my family than my friends.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna touch just briefly on the last one, and we want to make sure we make a distinction because with a lot of what you've been saying earlier in terms of the intimacy aspect, man woman, but you do recognize that intimacy means a certain level of closeness, which can also happen between friends. Yes. All right. So with that in mind, then how then can we maintain confidentiality in this specific type of relationship? And do we necessarily need to do that, since when you have a certain level of closeness, this is where you actually feel open enough to share just about any and everything?
All right, that's a mouthful, Noreen, but it's important that we make the distinction. So the person that you're intimate with, of course, you're by far closer to that person than you are to your regular friends. Because, of course, you are not sleeping with your regular friends. So you would share more, or I assume, I don't know, because intimate relationships vary depending on the individuals.
Right.
You'll have people who will share with their close friends more than they'll share with their intimate partners, or vice versa.
True.
So it all boils down to understand. It's when you think about relationships, Noreen, you have to think about personality. So it all boils down to understanding the personality of the persons who you are close to, your family, your friends, your intimate partner. So you have persons who will say that my spouse is my best friend, which is a good thing. Because if I believe that, listen, if I am intimate with John or Randy, for argument's sake, that person must be my best friend.
Yes.
So I should be able to share something with Tom, Dick, or her if I'm in a relationship with that person. If you can't, then therein lies the challenge. Why are you intimate with somebody that you can't share with? So certain things that you're going to share with your intimate partner, you'd not necessarily share with a best friend. But it all boils down to understanding personality traits and persons. It differs. How I relate to you versus how you relate to your friends, it differs.
Is it different? What's the one thing you want, as we're wrapping up, the one thing you want our listeners to get from this conversation? Because we've said a lot, but what's the one thing you really want to resonate with our listeners?
All right. Understand the people around you. It might seem, how should I put it? It might seem as if it's something hard, but it's good to understand the different traits of persons that you're dealing with. Once you understand, it makes it easier for you to know what to share, when to share, who to share it with. And then that way you will maintain that level of confidentiality across your relationships. So just understand that you don't need to go and tell everybody your business. You tell people what you want them to know. Maintain that level of privacy. Your personal life is for you, your family, your close friends, your intimate partner. Your public life, I mentioned it earlier when we just started, that yes, persons might believe they know all about me, but that's really not true. People, as far as people are concerned, or maybe I should have said this in your podcast, but let me just put it this way. Persons know what I want them to know. So I want to leave the listeners with that. Understand the persons around you, and then you will know what to share and with who to share it.
How can we maintain confidentiality in our relationships? I trust you got an answer to that. And if you did not get an answer, that your brain was stimulated or tickled in a particular direction. This has been Noreen Daly. Thanks again, Sharmica.
Thank you for having me, Noreen. Always a pleasure.
And this was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping you to have better relationships, not just with yourself, not just with ourselves, but with other people. Until next time.
You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life.